What it is, Brad Lea back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio. Folks, got a real treat for you. Douglas James is in the house. What's up, Douglas?
What's up, Brad? Thanks for having me.
Diddy? What'd you say?
Yeah, if you want to call me Daddy, D-Daddy.
Yeah, but what do they call you?
Diddy, D-Diddy.
D-Diddy?
No.
Folks, if you guys haven't heard of this dude, you can look him up at Douglas James on Instagram, social media. Or go to the douglasjames.net. But ultimately, dude, it says here coach for entrepreneurs, which kind of is general, but you were kind of an expert at, media buying, advertising, Facebook, etc. You had some AI action going on. Mm-hmm. And now your main business, or what you're focused on right now, is what?
Really just investing in disruptive technology. Really, and I'm generating right now an investors club, basically, because I've been in AI now for a couple of years, and we all know like what's coming. We're seeing massive companies invested, and I'm just kind of like, let me get ahead of this. Just like we were just talking about crypto, a little bit earlier. I jumped in back in 2017. So
how much was it when you jumped in?
Oh man, I think I bought my first Bitcoin at like 3,000, 2,000 or 3,000. And I've just held, just like your buddy that is holding all that Ethereum we were talking about. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I started in all the online coaching. I was in the Navy for 10 years, served, did amazing things, started working with a lot of veterans. And that's really how I got into coaching. And it was all because of, have you ever heard of like scrutiny and expectations, like the two tyrants of leadership? You ever heard of that before?
No.
So basically, whenever you do something in life, you start to better yourself, make money, right? Elevate yourself. People start to either scrutinize or expect things from you. So when I was in the Navy, I was making a lot of money. I was actually making about 50 grand a month as an E6, but on the outside.
I was going to say, not from Navy.
Yeah. So I started digital marketing. I started to learn how to rank websites, do paid advertising, things like that. And I was making like my annual salary in a month. Well, at the hospital I was working at, I became, I guess, semi-famous in the hospital. It was like 6,000 people. So I had veterans, I had active duty military coming up to me, hey, Doug, or HM1, my rank back then, can you teach me what you do? And I had a Master Chief come up to me. He's like, hey man, I'm 45 years old, been in the Navy for 25 years. I'm about to get out and I don't want to sit in a classroom full of 19-year-olds. And I'm like, yeah, I'll teach you what I know. Just pay me $1,000. He's like, sure. So because I had success, people started to expect things from me, right?
Sure.
And it's not a bad thing, right? But then when you elevate yourself, it's because you're creating the space. So, but also what came with that is like the family saying, hey, that's a scam. Like, what are you doing? Just stay in the military. They were scrutinizing me, right? I had friends.
You got limited mindset family members.
Exactly. So, but because of those two tyrants of leadership is exactly what has caused me to have success. And what I've done over the years is I've tried to tie back everything that I've done to some type of psychological principle, which we were just talking about, Dr. Jeff Spencer before we jumped on, my mentor. He's really been someone pinnacle that's really helped me navigate this crazy terrain of life, and success and all this stuff. So.
Are you saying two tenets of leadership or two tyrants?
Two tyrants of leadership.
Say it again.
Tyrants.
Like a tyrant.
Yeah, like a tyrant.
I've never heard of the two tyrants of leadership. Is that a book?
Yeah.
Is it a famous book?
Yeah.
Am I an idiot?
Yeah, no. So it's just the two things. If you ever try to do anything, it's going to be one of those two leadership of principles. It's two extremes, like night and day, positive, negative. Right? So
yeah.
Any expectation, that's what's going to happen.
So explain them one more time. Scrutiny. Mm-hmm. You're going to get scrutinized?
Yeah. So let's paint it like this. People have general issues with space, right? When I joined the Navy or if you started, when you started Lightspeed,
yeah,
right? They're like, what the F, dude? Like, that's probably a dumb idea. I'm sure there's people that came.
Everyone said it was stupid.
Everyone said it's stupid. Now you're still here doing millions, right? So you're here, right? And everyone's used to you being here. You start to elevate. What's this? This is space. People get really uncomfortable with space. They're like, hey man, that's stupid. Screw that business. Come back to the bar, come back and hang out with us, right? You don't need to be doing that. They're trying to pull you back down where you once were, right? So they'll scrutinize you to do that. you'll have other people say, hey man, that's really cool. Can you teach them how to do that? They want you to grab them and pull them up to where you're at now, right? They start to expect things from you.
Yeah.
And we see this and primarily out, wolves. I have a friend that has like 2 wolves he raised as babies. But when you see a pack of wolves and they're marching, let's say there's 6 wolves, there's always one wolf in front, right? And the distance between their nose and their tail is the same distance as they keep going, right? They are very aware of that space and who the pack leader is. And we do this subconsciously too. You ever go into a church, or not you, but people go into church, who's more righteous than me? You walk into a room, who's more wealthy than me? Who's bigger than me? Who's got more money? Who's bigger, fatter, right? All these different things. You're trying to create space and a hierarchy in your brain. So it's just about understanding space, how it affects other people, and, how to actually leverage it. Because too, you want to have compassion for people. If they start to scrutinize you, it's just, they're uncomfortable with the space. That doesn't mean they're bad people.
Yeah.
They just are used to you a certain way.
Gotcha. Right? Well, when I was listening before, I was hearing space and I was thinking like space, the final frontier. Now I get what you meant.
Yeah.
So you're in the Navy, you're making some good coin, $50K a month, nice, comfortable living, especially if you're just in the Navy.
Yeah.
And everyone said, start showing me. So you're like, I showed you. Then what? You eventually came into like AI and, all the things you do now.
Yeah.
So give me a chronological walkthrough.
Yeah. So, back 2015, went on to deployment to Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Philippines. Humanitarian mission was really awesome. Built schools for kids, clinics, all kinds of amazing stuff. It actually that experience was really set me on the new path because I got to see what life was really like overseas, right? Third world, people walking around with no shoes, living in little tiki huts. And my whole time in the military, I was like, I understood the game of making rank, and I understood what I needed to do to go to the next level and get paid more. And what I realized is it's all marketing and sales, right? We're always selling something, right? We're always marketing ourselves, right? I was really good at telling a board of chiefs why I should be Sailor of the Year, right? And which I won in Bethesda, Maryland. So I got back from deployment. I'm like, I think I've done all I can do. This is 2015. I came back as an E6. I got capped E6. I'm in 5.5 years at this point. The average person, it takes 12 years to make E6. I did it in 5.5. So I'm like, I think it's time to start the transition. So found digital marketing, hit those numbers, had active duty coming up. Hey, teach me. So I started my coaching business. And then if we fast forward probably till 2020, that's kind of when I really went in all on my brand, because before COVID, I was focusing on like celebrity marketing. So I was doing like advertising for Jordan Belfort and Spectacular Smith, some of these guys you might know or probably been on your podcast. And, COVID happened. A lot of people dropped their budgets, whatever, love them. But I went in all on my brand, and that's when I really scaled my coaching business to $20 million a year, working exclusively with veterans, which we've opened up to entrepreneurs and a bunch of other types of folks as well. And I think fast forward to about 2023, man, I realized I'm really good at marketing and sales. I've been the coaching guru guy, sales guy. And I really wanted to diversify my money, right? It's having $5-10 million in the bank is kind of scary these days with inflation, right? It was in 15% a year. Banks go under. Silicon Valley bank went under. I live in California. Like I could have signed up for that bank, right? Very likely. So I started to invest in things like crypto, right? Bought a bunch of Bitcoin, Ethereum. I had a friend, and this is what I'm most excited about right now, is his name's Howard Getz, and he's been in AI for 33 years. The CEO of an AI company for 33 years. Like we're all freaking out about like ChatGPT, right? And look at this copy that it writes and it does all this cool stuff. Well, this guy's freaking been doing it for over 3 decades. Sold his last company for like 9 figures, 10 years ago. And he's been building a company called Capital Logics. And the first AI that he developed was a fully autonomous AI algorithm that trades commodities futures. So commodities is your gold, soybean, stacks of hay, all the stuff that's never going to go away. And over 10 years, he's gotten a conservative 20% returns on that AI. Trading commodities, raised $40 million developing it. So when I learned out about him, I immediately invested into his company because he's coming out of a startup right now, and the fund is going public. So this was all internal money that he was trading millions of dollars. Bought a piece of his company. Now I'm raising for it, and I got to tell you, it's one of the most exciting things that I think I've ever seen, because you look at companies like NVIDIA. NVIDIA is like the biggest stock now because of AI, right? You have multi-trillion-dollar companies, Tesla, Apple, Google, all blowing up in AI right now. So to be a part of something like this so early, there's something called, you ever heard of the diffusion of innovation?
No.
So diffusion of innovation is how it looks like a bell curve like this, right? Any piece of disruptive technology, new thing that comes out, it takes time for it to diffuse and adopt over a period of time to the public. So when the internet hit, was like 1999, there was newspaper clippings saying, hey, internet's a fad. You're never going to order groceries off that thing, right? Now, look at where we're at. We're doing all that stuff and more on the internet. It's taken time. So right now, AI, blockchain, all these things are at the beginning of diffusion of innovation, where like the investors, the first 3% are in. And then the next part is you have the early adopters, early investors, then the late majority on the back end of the bell curve. And we're still in that early beginning phase. So in 5 or 10 years, if you're not using AI in your companies, you're likely probably going to go out of business in the next 5 years. If you're not buying crypto, utilizing blockchain for your currencies, you're probably going to lose all your money because of inflation, because of what's going on with the banks and they're printing more cash, right? So it's all about seeing these things going on in the future. And if you're a late majority person, then you're just a part of the middle class, which is getting destroyed anyway, and you're going to be in the poor class, right? So for me, it's all about seeing these things coming, positioning myself around people that I know are building the tech, doing the cool things, but also connecting the dots, because I've always been someone I think one of my superpowers that it's taken me a while to really realize is I love bringing people together. That's the one thing that I did in the military while I was so successful. So I would host massive events. I was the physical fitness leader in Italy at my command, in charge of thousands of people's fitness. I was really great at bringing people together, putting them behind a mission. So what I do in my events and what I want to do going forward is bring people together and say, hey, there's a better path forward with investing. I've done that in my coaching business as well. I want to start to do that and host events and bring people together in the wealth advisory space, which is kind of something I'm focusing more on now.
Well, it's a popular subject, I'll say.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to get wealthy. I've got a little idea I had. I'll tell you offline. But everybody wants to get wealthy nowadays. I mean, who doesn't, obviously, but the difference is how do you do it? Right. And a lot of people aren't willing to put in the time, effort, or risk in some cases. So what type of risk is associated with your strategies? Because there has to be some risk. How do you get 20% conservative returns by letting AI do a bunch of trading? So you tell me I give you $1 million, you'll give me back 200 grand.
Yep.
And the million's still trading.
That's right.
And I could liquidate it anytime I want, because commodities, I just press a button, I'm out.
Yep. So the way the fund works, it basically works like, I'll tell you about the company as a whole. So the fund is one element. I know that's exciting. 20% a year. Wow, that beats the stock market, S&P. I mean, anything you can get into, right? The reason why this company is different is because of what it's doing, right? We have a holding company at the top, and we have basically 3 entities at the bottom. The first entity is the fund, which I'll get back to in a second. But the first entity, what we're doing is we're partnering with joint ventures, people that have companies, people like you that have hundreds or thousands of customers or users, right? We're coming in, we're creating AI for them. So we have a team of 20 PhDs. These are quant scientists, data analyst types, creating AI, creating more efficiency, amplifying their intelligence so they can make smarter, better decisions faster, saving them money and time. So we did this for a search arbitrage company. We took them from a 25% net margin to 70%. They had to let go 50% of their staff, right? And they're now doing 200 million a year when they were doing 50 million a year. So we're probably going to position them, we're hoping for a 10-figure exit here in the next 18 months. And then we own half of that, right? So if they sell for $1 billion, we get 500 mil, right? We want to do that over and over and over and over and over again. We never want to sell our company because we own the holding company. We just want to create these ventures. So what's going to happen is that 500 mil that we take, it's going to go up to the holding company and down into the fund. And our investors, us and our investors that own percentages of the fund are going to get distribution on that cash coming from the joint ventures, right? And by the way, the second entity owns all the patents and license in the AI that we develop. So we can take those patent license out to other company, or since we own the patent, we can actually spin up those companies again and resell them. So it just becomes basically a conveyor belt of AI cash printing machine. And what's cool too is because of the holding company, you never have a tax liability. So money goes in until you actually, take the money out saying, hey, I want to exit. Then it goes in your bank account. That's the only time you pay taxes.
But you wouldn't do that. You would just borrow against it, wouldn't you?
You could, yeah, you could totally borrow against it. You certainly could. But as far as risk, yeah, there's always risk, so.
What's the risk though?
So the virtually is, there's always risk. So what I would say is we can actually adjust the volatility from 20 to 30%. All right. So if we have a high risk cowboy that's saying, hey, I want 35%, sure, we can do that, but we're going to set your volatility really high. So you might have a drawdown in a day of 40%. Some people, you might look at your balance, and if it's down 40% in one day, you're like, oh my God, fuck this. Like, I need to sell. This is a scam, right? But if you look at it over a long-term time frame, a year, it's going to be basically a straight line.
Yeah, but long term isn't a year. Long term would be like 10 years. So years relatively short term, isn't it?
It can be, but the way it's designed, you'll get the average that you want to put in for your volatility set over a year.
So if you're scared and conservative, what would you see in that fund?
If you're scared or conservative, you might have your investors, hey, I'm used to investing in the S&P, right? And just give me my 5% a year. Cool, we can set that volatility really low. You might have a drawdown of 6% in a day, no big deal. That happens all the time, right? But at the end of the year, you'll be up your 5%. So it's basically on you. We already have all the data sets. We have, I want to say we have 40 different trading algorithms that we trade, and 40 different baskets and 120 different trading methods is what we have. And the way these methods and baskets operate, it's like nodes that are constantly communicating with each other. So we actually invented a patent, something called real-time curve hopping. Real-time curve hopping is when you take money from an investment and it immediately moves it to another trade. It takes a human to do that. This is the first time ever that AI has been able to do it, and we own the patent to it. So let's say you make 20% trading gold on a 15-minute candle. Cool, take that 20% out, put it into a week-long candle on soybean, right? That happens automatically because they're all talking to each other, get you that straight line. By the end of the year, you're hitting your goal of whatever, 10, 20, 30%. So it's fully autonomous. All it takes a human to do is put the money in and take the money out. That's it.
So you say it's been going on how long? 10 years?
10 years.
So in 10 years, no one's lost a penny.
Nope.
Other than day to day.
Yeah.
But if you leave your money in for 1 year, you're getting your money back plus 20, 30%.
That's right.
Well, why would anyone be afraid if those statistics are there? Like, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, but it's AI, it's new technology, with diffusion of innovation, right?
What if the government outlaws some sort of, you can't do that, that's cheating. Because usually when you find something that's too good to be true, you find out some way or shape or form that it is, or they shut it down.
Right.
Like, you ever heard of those pyramid schemes?
Oh, yeah.
Those pyramid schemes work, man.
Yeah, they do.
They keep working. And if they butt it out and let them just keep going, they'd keep working.
Isn't that what crypto is? And is that what the stock market is?
I know, but if you think about it, hey, you got to get two people to get two people to get, they say, well, eventually someone's going to get screwed. Only if you interfere because you could start over. You could go back to the people that were in the beginning and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
They called those airplanes or some shit like that. Remember those?
Yeah.
It worked, dude. It worked. I watched people get paid. They're like, no, someone would eventually lose. Only if you stop it.
Mm-hmm.
If you allow it to keep going, no one would lose. So because they call it a Ponzi scheme and that's not legal and they stop it, I'm still trying to figure out why they stop it. And it's not to protect us, because everybody in those things we're getting paid until they stopped.
Right.
And when you stop them, yes, now people are screwed because it requires more money to come in. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm not a scholar on these things, so I just say, hey, you know, whatever. I stay away from pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes and all these other schemes. But if someone were to say, hey, Brad, this guy for the last 10 years has been getting, 15%, screw 20, 15, you're guaranteed 15 on your money. Mm-hmm. I would say, that's odd. Why? Well, because that's pretty decent return. Boom. Let me throw some money over there and just leave it there. I don't have to do anything. And I get 15% return on my money. Dude, you'd have trillions in that fund if everyone knew for a fact that's what would happen. So there has to be some sort of risk. Otherwise, you could advertise it. Yeah. So I'm thinking, what's the risk? Like AI breaks down, internet crashes. There has to be a risk. What's the risk?
Yeah. All of the servers, everything we do is in the cloud, all secure, backed, right?
You got your money in it?
Yeah, I have money in it.
You say you have money in it. Why wouldn't you have every dime in it? What else you got cooking bigger than that?
Well, I got a few things.
Other than like people always ask me, why don't you invest in this? Because I'm investing in myself.
Yeah.
And I found that that's the biggest return so far.
Certainly.
So now that I have a little to where I can, kick some off and not worry too much about it.
Yeah.
I'm looking for vehicles and, I've got 5%, 10% fairly locked in. I got a 25% fairly locked in and I'm testing it right now to see what it is, but it's tax liens. You ever heard of those?
Yeah.
I don't see how you can lose doing those. No, but I'll bet you can. And usually I'll find out how you lose. I just need to put my money in.
Yeah.
So if I send you money, dude, it might be the first time in 10 years it breaks.
This is what I'll say, man. There's always anything could happen, right? I would be lying if there was no risk. But there's always going to be, the internet could go down, right? Something crazy could happen. Bitcoin could go to zero, right? If they decide to shut down, who created Bitcoin, right? Who's this?
Putin.
I've heard you say that before.
No, not me. Dan Pena says it.
Dan Pena said that. So what I'll tell you is,
Naka Shoto Shomashata. No, what's his name? Nakamoto.
Satoshi
Nakamoto. That's who did it.
Yeah, that's who they say did it.
I think it was like probably CIA or.
I think I saw a video from Dan Pena. He's like, if you knew who created Bitcoin, it'll go to zero tomorrow. I'm telling you, if you knew who really created it, it will go to zero.
Yeah, he followed up with that. He says it's Putin.
He said it was Putin.
He says Putin did it as a long-term play to destroy our economy, and we're all playing into it like an idiot. Yeah. And one day, Bitcoin is going to be worth shit, and the whole American economy is going to be crashed. And we're all idiots for putting money into it because Putin's behind it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll write it up.
If you look at the code, though, if you look at the blockchain of how it was created, there's no backdoor, right? There's no way to manipulate it in any way, right? So once it was created, it's got a mind of its own. It's running. The blockchain is an indestructible, immutable ledger.
Period. The unprofessional way I say that is a unfuckable ledger. Mm-hmm. Like you cannot change, you cannot scam, you cannot alter. Like once it's on the blockchain, brother, it's going to be tracked with meticulous accuracy. Mm-hmm. And right now, dude, there's people that own property that can't even prove they own it technically. So if you legally knew where this property was, you could go up and say, that's mine, and own it. And no one could take it from you because there's no proof of deed. Mm-hmm. And trace through the records like they were lost in a fire and just technically there is no deed to those properties. That's all over the United States. Blockchain would solve all that.
Absolutely.
So in my mind, and I learned this back when blockchain was I would say $600. It was about when I got some, and they asked me to sit on this blockchain panel. And I go, bro, I don't know anything about blockchain. He's like, no, dude, come on, man. People want to see you. I'm like, okay. And the guy that has all the Ethereum, was I telling you were the guest before?
Yeah, you told me.
Oh, so that guy, I met him on the panel. So I'm on the panel. We're waiting to go up there. My wife, she's starving. And I said, no, babe, just wait. It's going to be a minute. 4 hours later, dude, we still aren't up on this stage. And plus, I don't know shit about Bitcoin anyway.
Yeah. So
we finally get up on the stage. All these guys are Bitcoin experts. I don't know shit about Bitcoin. They hand me the microphone. And I said, and now I'm aggravated. My wife's pissed off. I shouldn't even be on the stage anyway. So I get the microphone and they asked me a question about Bitcoin. And I said, look, I don't know anything about Bitcoin. Okay. But I know about blockchain, and blockchain's an unfuckable ledger. And that is why you should believe in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's a reward for adding a block to the blockchain, which is just, another secure storage, if you will, for an unfuckable ledger. And so if you believe in that, and I do, because driver's licenses, power companies, deeds, every record on earth, the rights to music, everything will be on the blockchain. I guarantee you that, just knowing what I know about the blockchain, which is very little. And then the Bitcoin is the reward for adding to the blockchain. So if you believe in blockchain, then you have to believe in Bitcoin. And I don't think blockchain's going anywhere. However, I do need to go somewhere, because if I don't get my wife to dinner, she's going to be unfuckable. Boom. And I dropped the mic and I walked off stage, left them all just sitting there with their mouths open. The dude that now is worth about $500,000, he called me afterwards and he said, dude, you're the coolest motherfucker I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
I said, we became buddies. He goes, dude, it was so hilarious what you did. He goes, people were talking about that for the rest of the night. I said, well, dude, my wife's pissed. I'm like, I don't know. I shouldn't even be up there. But anyway, the blockchain is what I say. That's what's magical. Bitcoin, that's just a reward for solving some sort of puzzle or riddle or math problem that allows you to add another block to the blockchain, right? And dude, that's not going anywhere.
No.
And you can't screw it. And people say, well, what is it, blockchain? Okay, I always say it like this. Imagine you have something that you want to, store, and there's 1 million private computers. Nobody knows which ones they are. Could be yours, could be mine, could be your grandma's, could be anybody's. They don't know the passwords to all those computers. They don't even know the location of all those computers. And in order to change that record, you would theoretically have to get to all 1 million computers at the same time and tell them all the same thing in order to change that, which is the impossibility is ridiculously crazy. Yeah. So that means, dude, that's brilliant. Who thought of that? Whoever thought of that, they own supposedly, 10 million Bitcoin.
Yep.
Or however many. How many are they supposed to have?
I think it's something like that. At least 1 million.
Yeah, but if you have that many Bitcoin currently today, that makes you, trillionaire.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where I went off on that tangent. Okay, so your algorithm or your AI is basically some really smart programming that's thinking about trading and buying and selling commodities quickly based on what? Based on the history? Based on the futures? What?
Yeah, based on all historical data. So it's
like pork belly.
It's looking at the Fibonacci retracements, right? All of the different types of algorithm trades that you can do. It has all of those in the whole system. So it's looking at it and looking at the very next strategic move that it's going to make. So this is what traders do. Think about this, dude. How many people have you ever had any professional traders that have been on your podcast that talked about it? There's people that are making millions, but there's also people losing their ass.
Yeah.
Trading.
Well, you heard of those e-com guys that'll set you up a Walmart shop and shit like that? So I'm like, dude, this has to be too good to be it. This is too good to be true. You're telling me I can give you 50 grand or whatever they were charging, and you'll set me up a e-commerce store, and I just make 10 grand a month from then on out.
Well, a lot of those people are out of business today.
I know, because again, it's always too good to be true bullshit.
Yeah.
But e-com does work. I don't think that this guy that wants my 50 grand is going to set me up a store. And because my question to them was, well, why don't you just set yourself up the store? Why do you want me to? He goes, you can only have one store. Mm-hmm. Why can you only have one store? And why wouldn't your store just be 10 times bigger?
Right.
Anyway, it doesn't make sense. What you're saying, I'm trying to find like the part where it doesn't make sense, but it's making sense.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Let's say over the next 10 years, we build 10 companies that sell for $1 billion each. That's $10 billion, right? We own half. That's $5 billion we roll into the fund, right? All of our investors and us get distribution, right? Me and my partner as commodity pool operators getting distribution. So that's really the play. Most people invest in startups. Most people invest in funds. They invest in real estate, crypto. They don't invest into an ecosystem that's pumping 8, 9, 10 figure exits and pushing into a fund that's compounding at conservatively 20% a year, right? So yeah, we can raise for the fund. That's one element. But the other thing I'm most interested in is working with companies, letting them use our team of PhDs, make them unfuckable in the next 5 years where they can't fail, unfailable, because we know AI is going to be a part of the future. We're helping them stay in business long term and then potentially exit for a higher EBITDA.
Where do you think AI is going and by when? Like right now, for example, people are using it for copywriting. People are using it for all kinds of things, legals, check contracts. So it's going to eliminate lawyers. It's going to, I mean, if you like train an AI with the top legal minds of the country, mm-hmm. you'd literally not need any of those attorneys ever again. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you train it correctly and you prompt it correctly, that's when it's powerful. So in my mind, I think actual intelligence is better than artificial intelligence. Because who made artificial intelligence? Actual intelligence.
Right.
So right now, if I said, hey, AI, write a thing about light speed, I bet you 1,000 or even 10,000 if you want, it's not going to spit out copy as good as I could write. Mm-hmm. It just won't. Why? It doesn't know light speed. It doesn't, there's no possible way it knows it well enough to understand the real value between light speed and all the other shit that's out there.
Right.
It won't do it. So to me, it's not really that valuable yet, but eventually it will be. So where do you think it's going that's going to make it so much valuable, and how can entrepreneurs and business owners right now use it to grow with it, so by that time they're not out of business?
Yeah. So a few things I want to say here. Number one, well, I'll say this. Everyone thinks they want AI or artificial intelligence, when the fact is they don't know what they truly want or truly need. It's not AI they need. They want amplified intelligence. They just want to be able to make smarter, faster, more effective decisions, right? And that's what we're really using AI for, right?
That's its value right now to me.
Yeah, exactly. So I think AI is probably, like I said, going to be part of the everyday thing that you're doing. So what entrepreneurs, business owners, at least what we're doing in my company, we let go, I think, about 25% of our staff already because of AI. Just because we didn't need them. That's what happened to the other search traffic arbitrage company we work with. But every single industry, every single job position is going to be replaced by AI. Now, what I think entrepreneurs, business people, or the 9-to-5 worker really needs to do is start to adopt it themselves in their daily habits, right? Their schedule. There's AI that controls your schedule and moves your schedule based off of the calls and appointments coming in. And when you walk your dog and all these things, you just keep feeding information. It's going to learn. It's going to know your schedule almost better than you and tell you what to do every day, right? People need to start taking that.
I don't see AI coming in and unclogging my toilet.
No.
Okay, so that would show that you know, blue collar home service, dirty job type things, they're going to get more lucrative, I think.
Yeah.
I think wages in those worlds are going to go up. Why? Because you're not going to be able to find a plumber to come help you, and AI is not unclogging your toilet. Yeah.
Well, in 50 years, you're going to have the robot AI you call up that's going to pull up to your house and do it for you, right? Fully autonomous.
Well, I'd wait. I ain't going to be around for that. Just like AI bots where they make the flesh-like women,
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's what are those fuck dolls right now? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's like real looking dolls. They're called like real dolls. I think they're called real dolls. They're sitting there with their mouth open. But if you could make that like a real human being, dudes will lose it.
Yeah.
Like females will lose it. Like there will be no more human pairing.
Yeah.
Like you could just order up your perfect girl that just does whatever you want perfectly. And the girl, they don't need some high maintenance dude either. They measure up the perfect dude for them. now it's just everybody's with a bot.
Mm-hmm.
How long from now you think that is?
I think we're probably 100 years from that.
Yeah.
Our lifetime,
I'll be dead.
Our lifetime is humans leveraging AI to be relevant and useful.
Okay, so when Elon Musk says AI is more dangerous than nuclear weapons, like what is he? Why is it so dangerous? Is he talking about way in the future?
I don't know. Did you listen to that podcast with Shannon Sharp and Cat Williams?
Yes.
And Cat Williams was talking about how there's people with less than average IQs operating all the nuclear weapons, and then they could like fuck up and easily hit a button and like take out the power grid by accident.
Well, yeah. Again, the Biden administration, they're all less average intelligence.
Right.
So is pretty much all politicians.
Yeah. So we have people right now that are, this is just my opinion. We have people right now running our country that fucking don't know what the hell they're doing. Right. And eventually.
Cabal, bro.
Yeah.
I really believe that, especially in Canada.
Oh.
That Justin Trudeau dude, he's a crook. Straight up. Like, why are they allowing the shit they're allowing? And in America, by the way, why do people allow what they're allowing? Look at our food. Like, there's shit in our food that the FDA blesses that is straight up toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought the FDA was to make sure that nobody was putting shit in our food.
Exactly.
And why is the food and drug together? Why is food and drug together? Like, how come there isn't a drug administration making sure the drugs are safe, and then a food administration making sure the food's safe? They got a food and drug.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's shady right there. Because guess what? If the food solves the drug, like, for example, oranges. Remember back in the day when, they had scurvy, and scurvy would kill you, and oranges would solve scurvy.
Yeah.
But no, we had to, no, you have to have a medicine for scurvy. Just like, I forget what the other one was. There's a million examples of that.
Yeah.
But dude, to me, I don't know if they're below average intelligence. I think it's a plan.
Yeah.
Why would you allow it? Well, again, if I'm the pharmaceutical company that makes Viagra, and I knew that I could put, shit in your cornflakes that makes your dick soft, and I'm a buddy at the Food and Drug Administration that determines whether or not I'm allowed to put it in there, and it doesn't really hurt you, but it will make your dick soft. Hey, buddy, if I sell 20% more Viagra, I'll make sure you got a job and your kid has a job. And guess what? You can track that the kid's got the job.
Yeah.
Well, how come that's not illegal? How come lobbying's not illegal? How do you run the Food and Drug Administration, and then when you retire, you go to work at Pfizer? Like, no, dude. Come on. We all see that there's bullshit going on. So I don't think that they're below average intelligence. I think we're all being played.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question earlier, I think the adoption of AI is probably going to be driven by how much the government wants to allow us to really use it.
But AI seems woke.
Yeah. It is woke. And if it makes them money, we will be allowed to use it.
But there again, who's behind AI? When's AI going to be self-aware, sentient, like to where, listen, it can't be corrupted anymore because it became aware, not woke? Because right now, you ask it a question, it only knows what it's been trained to know.
Right.
So if you ask it a question, it's only going to go to the data that it's allowed.
Right.
Because if you ask it a question, like, for example, anything that's kind of against the woke agenda, it'll be like, nope.
Right.
Oh, so AI's woke. So now you're sitting there typing in all this shit and you're leveraging AI, and basically, dude, that's woke shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know the difference between woke and awake?
Tell me.
Do you know?
Yeah, I know.
What's your thoughts?
I think awake is more so like you're aware of what's true and what's not true. Woke is what the narrative that they want you to believe is true.
Yeah. Very well said. I tried to say it the other day, not that eloquently, but it's exactly right. I said, dude, the difference between woke and awake is like awake, you're like aware, you're paying attention. You're like, you're paying attention. And then woke is almost like you're asleep, which never made sense. Because when I first heard the term woke, I made a little meme photo of me looking all cool and it said woke. And I thought, yeah, I'm woke, motherfucker, meaning awake. But I didn't know what woke meant. But now woke is not a good thing.
No.
So AI is woke. Why are you dicking with something that is theoretically woke?
Because we can make a lot of money right now doing it.
Because you're awake.
Because I'm awake.
Yeah, that's funny. So if people listening are like, dude, I'd love to have a good percentage like that. Where do they go? Where do they go find out more? And by the way, I'm not endorsing this shit. Don't call me a year from now and say that Douglas James freaking rant. Because I tell you, those e-commerce guys,
yeah,
the ones I had on my show, someone called me like, a year later. I gave them 40 grand, more than one, like several. I gave them 40 grand. I said, oh shit, so did I. You screwed me. I'm like, how did I screw you? You had them on your show or I wouldn't have invested.
Oh my gosh.
One of them was going to want to sue me. I'm like, bro, he just came on my show. So now I got to say, I don't endorse or recommend, but people can go do their own research.
Yeah.
You seem legit as I'm talking to you. Where do people go and like invest if they want?
Yeah. So I'll tell you.
And do I get a piece of anyone that comes from here?
We can talk about that. As long as it's legal and regulated.
I get what's called a tad. I get what's called a tad for Brad.
Tad for Brad. Okay.
Yeah, because if I send you, $5 billion in revenue, give me a little sliv.
Yeah.
Give them 20% or whatever they get, and then give me a little cut of your guys's, because somebody's making more than they're giving them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, why would they be doing it? I always want to know, like, what are you making? Mm-hmm. Like you take, Cardone with his real estate shit. Well, dude, yeah, he'll give you a little piece of what he's making from your money.
Yeah.
Geez, thank you, Grant. Because to his point, well, you're not making it without him. So he's making more than he's giving you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. That's called, capitalism.
Yeah.
So what are you guys making? Mm-hmm. Now, is it you guys or are you just in it? Like, is that your fund and your buddy's fund?
I'm running my fund and I'm arbitraging capital logics. Right now, Howard wants to focus on the joint ventures, building, working with the PhDs.
It's Howard's program though?
Howard gets it.
So what does Howard get if he's paying out 30?
He gets rev share on the company and ownership in the fund.
So he
owns 50% of the whole company.
No, my point is like he doesn't pay you 30 out of the 35 he generated. He generates as much as he can, and everybody gets their slice of that generation.
However much
I gotcha.
Yeah, and
well, that's
as a commodity pool operator, we charge 2 and 20, right? So 2% fee, 2% management, 20% on the returns, and then
damn, you get 2 and 20. So if I gave you $1 million, you get 20 grand. What, per month or once?
No, recurring, as long as the money's in there. So 20
recurring what, per year, per month, per day?
We'll do quarterly distributions. So
okay, so if I gave you $1 million, one of my fees is 20 G's for you taking my money,
and 2% for managing it. But
not and 2%. That is 2%.
That 2%, right? Plus 20% of the returns. So if you give me $1,200,000, that's 40 grand.
So you get that sliver too.
Yeah.
Which nets me what? That would net me in that case. Let's see, 20. If I made 200 grand and you said 2% of that, or no, 20% of that.
20%.
So I'd get 160 on $1 million, 16%. Even though it paid me 20.
2% on the million plus 20% on the.
Now, what if I crank it up and I go to 30? You still get a piece.
Same thing.
Yeah. So, dude, I mean, as long as those returns are there, I don't see the issue.
Mm-hmm. And then also for raising, what we typically do, and as long as we have ways around this, and it has to be legal, regulated, like we have an in-house counsel, SEC attorneys, and Howard's actually an SEC attorney himself, but we would actually give up to 5% of capital that came in that might have been referred to us as well.
Oh, so I can get a sliver.
Yeah, it's a nice.
All right, well, and guys, go to /bomb squad. Where do I send them? So I'm just joking. Hey, this is just my free gift to you guys because I want you to do this on your own. You do your own due diligence. But if I were listening to this and I checked you out, man, I'd throw some money your way. Do people have to be accredited or no?
So we would rather them be accredited, but we have something worked out where they could be non-accredited. But if you're an accredited investor, it's less paperwork for us, basically. But we're happy to, if you are interested in investing, like please fill out an application. We'll have a conversation, and I'll tell you if.
Did you ask these people where'd you hear about us?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So folks, put Bomb Squad, and if you get a shit ton of investment capital from the Bomb Squad, dude, send a brother a yacht or something.
Yeah, I'll send you a Gulfstream. How about that?
Yeah,
Gulfstream.
Yeah, or a check, and I'll pick out my own.
I'll send you 100 Bitcoin.
Hey, in Nevada, that's a verbal contract.
Well, let me tell you where to send.
Come on, Bomb Squad, go invest so I get 100 Bitcoin.
So I didn't mention this, but what I'm doing right now is I'm involved in a lot of things, right? Investment opportunities. There's the marketing agency, and then there's a mastermind piece. So DouglasJamesCollective.com is where you can invest, monetize, and mastermind. So invest, you can invest in the portfolio companies that I own or raising capital for. One of them is Capital Logics. Another, we didn't talk about it, is a Web3 company, which works with musicians and helps them monetize their brand. We just signed an LOI with Kanye West, so really excited about that one. The second is the monetize section, where if you have a company, you want to scale your agent, your brand, your coaching business, or whatever you sell, we have a full stack marketing agency that can help you with that. We also work with a lot of celebrities and film master classes for them as well. And then the mastermind is what I'm most excited about. Don't want to be the guy that goes around and says, yo, invest into my fund, bro. I want to create a community.
Who does that?
Everyone that raises money. My DMs are filled with them every day. Oh. I don't want to name drop anyone.
I know, but I was just wondering because you said it like you know them.
Yeah,
but go ahead, continue.
They're out there, They're out there. We'll talk all. So the mastermind's where I'm going to be spending 90% of my time. So we launched Capital Collective. This is a private mastermind for investors. We have people in there like celebrities, musicians. My partner just co-collaborated with Magic Johnson. We sponsored his event for the Super Bowl. We had like Leonardo DiCaprio in there. We had Shannon Sharp, just a bunch of celebs. And what we're doing in that club is just bringing people together, showing them the different alternative investments that we have, because I might be in AI or blockchain, but my partner's in legitimate e-commerce companies, legitimate other alternative investments. So we're showing them the opportunities that are out there and how they're all backed and regulated per SEC. So they know that they're getting into legitimate investments and not just some pyramid scheme like you mentioned. But that's what I'm most excited about. So Capital Collective, we're working with a lot of really cool brands to grow that right now. And so if they went to DouglasJamesCollective.com, they can see the invest, monetize mastermind, and they could just go down the path of learning more about investing into the fund from there. So
good. Well, bro, I appreciate you coming in, sharing this with us. And for you guys, don't say I didn't do nothing for you, especially if you get rich with Douglas Diddy James. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks.
Folks, as always, till next time, keep it real.